So I've decided to put this podcast on a pause because I have a lot of things going on at the moment, and I don't know what I want with this podcast anymore. I might do some other stuff. Um, but right now I need to think about what it is that I want to do, because I know that I right now want to pursue a manager career in my work in the fitness chain that I work in, which I am in the midst of doing. I am at some point going to receive, or I was at a job interview last week about this position as a gym manager in another gym. And I am waiting for him to contact me about if I got it or not. And I will receive that in this week. It's only Tuesday. So, and it was Easter day yesterday, or second Easter day yesterday. So at some point in this week, I believe that I will receive some information about it. So I would like to pursue that. And I am really into studying leadership skills, leadership methods, leadership behavior. I am listening to a lot of books. Almost from all different kinds of places about leadership. And it's a big thing on my mind right now. So I really would like to put my focus in that, because I yesterday listened to something from Alex Hormozi, who talked about how he got success in the period where he went from broke to a millionaire and something like that. I cannot quite remember what he said about it, but what he did was that he was very focused on what he had to do to become successful in what he wanted at the moment. And I've also listened to, I've not finished it, but I listened to, I don't know, an hour or something of it, of one thing, which the main theme is that you should only have one focus at a time. Because also what Alex Hormozi said was that you cannot grow on all fronts. And because he talked about that he only worked out 2 times a week for maintenance when he was in this period of growing a lot. And I'm working out 6 times a week. I am trying to grow a lot in my physique, and I'm also trying to grow in my career with my work, with my main job. And beside that, I am learning a lot about leadership. And I really want to learn more about leadership. I think it's really interesting. And in not 1.5 months, a little bit over a month, I'm going to start the education of personal trainer as well. So I don't have much time besides the priorities that I have at the moment. So yesterday I sat down and I thought about to really prioritize what it is that I want to focus on right now, what requires the majority of my time. And it was work and learning related to the work. So that is leadership at the moment. And I'm always going to learn something either related to human behavior psychology, leadership, which is kind of part of it, but not really. And also about mental toughness. So in general, just no, not in general, but how to improve. I will always be learning about growth and improvement. And that's a big thing for me. And right now it's about leadership, because I see that this is the next step for me to take for my own growth and improvement in a new position as a manager, which I hopefully will get. If I don't get this one, it's just a matter of time when I will get one. I'm pretty sure of that. But we'll see. Only time will tell. And then also my workout, because I'm still in my first year in my workout progress, I guess you could call it. With, what can you say? With the newbie gains. I mean, I think I said it before that I have been working out in different periods and then stop and start again. And this is like my third or fourth period, I cannot quite remember, where I am working out, and I have seen results better than any time before. And I am at my strongest that I have ever been, and I'm still growing and increasing. And I still want to grow and increase, because I believe that something like the first 2 years will be where I put a lot of effort in growing muscle mass and strength. And after that, I will take it a notch down, going to maintenance in my workout and not bulking in my eating, but also going for maintenance in my calories. But that's not now. So I'm really focused on that. And then I also wrote rest, because I found out that I cannot keep this high amount of work ethic without some rest at some point. So I am resting sometimes during the day, and when I don't have work, I also prefer to rest. Even though I'm still doing things, I'm still resting. So and I've I've scheduled out a lot of things that I want to do. I've talked about that I would like to start swimming. I am not going to do that because it would take too much time that I don't have to do it. Not now, at least. And also, I think I wrote dating. That I'm it's not like it's a priority at all, but I'm not gonna make it a priority because I have too many things to accomplish. And I also wrote some other stuff. I mean, the things that I don't do, I will keep not doing them, of course. Distractions and temptations, because it's gonna just take away my focus from what I actually want to do and what I want to accomplish. And then I wrote some occasionally things I want to do, which is seeing friends and family, listening to music, which I am going to do. It should go into priority because I do it a lot still. And then I wrote side hustle under occasions, because I see that I'm being realistic here. With all the things that I have on my plate at the moment, I don't see realistically to have a side hustle, something I do besides all these other things, which is this at the moment, the podcast, which also have been reflected for the past many weeks where I haven't uploaded any new episodes or made any social media content related to it, because I simply haven't prioritized it highly enough. with the other things that I wanted to do. And actually, the priorities that I just mentioned that I have, it has been like that since I almost started work. I had this podcast as a priority as well, but slowly with time, it got less and less and less a prioritization. And I think that's a shame, because I think it's a shame to only go half-hearted into something, which I am at the moment. And as I said, I don't know what I will talk about, because I am going into a lot of new areas, new things I'm exploring. I could talk about that, but I don't know if I would to. I want to. And then I thought about, well, what was it that I wanted to do when I started this podcast? It was to help people. And then I have read Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and also Find Your Why by Simon Sinek and some other guys who wrote it. And I have maybe found my why. At least I have a draft for it, which is to reform other people to become the person they want, so we all can live better and meaningful lives. And I think that's pretty good, if I should say so myself. And what he talks about in Start With Why, he talks about the golden circle, where it is about every company or every person has a golden circle, which at the center, if you see it like a there's 3 circles. There's the inner, and then there's the middle circle, and then there's the outer circle. So in the bullseye, in the center of the circle, there's the why. Around it is the how, and in the outermost layer, there's the what. So what he talks about is that a lot of people and companies talks about what they're doing to try to inform people and trying to sell them stuff. And it's a lot about marketing. It's about what does the product do. And he says that why is the reason that people buy your stuff and listen to you and gets inspired by you. And he comes with a lot of examples like Apple, Martin Luther King, and then a airline over in the US that I don't know about. But I've heard about it, and it sounds pretty interesting. So when the why is clear and is the main focus of the company, both in the culture and in the marketing, then it just thrives and have exceptional success, like Apple. He argues that they use their why in everything they do, everything they communicate, and it is essential in their culture. The why of the business, why of the company. So I listened to this, and yesterday I thought about, again, for going back to what I was trying to say, I thought about what was it that I wanted with this podcast. I wanted to help people live better lives. But I don't, I think I found my why, at least a draft for it, but I don't know my hows and my whats. So I tried to sit down and put it down into words. And it was actually quite simple when it came down to it. So what I believe my whats are is that I remove distractions so that I can do things that I believe are purposeful and meaningful. So I've talked about this before. I don't watch television. I don't read fiction. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. I don't watch porn and some other things. What I do instead is that I work out a lot. I work a lot. I eat healthy. I get good quality sleep. I live healthy. And I pursue my dreams and my goals, I guess. And also thinking a lot. Thinking a lot is what I do. And I think that's meaningful. And when I sat and thought about it, it was actually quite simple. And how do I do it? Well, I do it with discipline. I do it with a focus on hard work. And I do it with focus on doing the right things because they are right. And to do the things that seems hard or that others don't want to. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not so sure about my house, if you can't tell. But something in the lines of that it's the core values that I've developed or maybe improved because I always had them, to my house, to my watch. And then I was like, okay, if it's this simple, well, how am I going to communicate this in a weekly episode every week? If it's just the same that I'm going to sit and talk about. And I was like, so maybe a podcast is not the right format for me to come out with the things that I want to talk about. And why I also started to think about it is because I was actually looking at Instagram earlier this week, where I saw an ad about how to make short content become viral. And I saw the ad. I read about those who made the app, those behind it, so to say. And I think that sounded pretty interesting. And it was not that expensive. It was like $59, which is something like 300 or 400 Danish crowns, which I'm like, well, that's not a lot for a course about how to make viral content. So I bought it. Haven't watched it yet, but I will at some point. Not now, because as I talked about, I have a lot of things going on. But I think about that maybe it might be more my thing to go also short content instead of doing this long content. Because right now, with what I have and why I do it, I don't feel that the podcast format is right for me to just be sitting here and talking, because I would just say the same thing over and over again. And I feel like short content is better for that, to state the same thing in a different way, because it's short. So you can get a little pieces out there. And with short content, it's mostly about being noticed, so that you can get out with your ideas and maybe try to get some customers because of it. So I'm trying so hard not to yawn. I mean, it's 8:30 a.m. and I've been up for 3.5 hours. And I'm going to work in 3.5 hours. That's pretty fun. um, so I don't have much time for this. But I don't know if I have much more to say other than maybe a bit of a recap, because I have thought about this for a long time, to set the podcast on pause, on hiatus, as some calls it. I believe it's a Japanese phenomenon where it's like it's not cancelled, but it's not active, so it's like in a hiatus state. And I don't know if I won't cancel it. I'm just putting it on a pause at the moment, because I don't know what to do with it right now, with this side hustle thing, as it's so popularly called. So I am going to putting my priorities in my career, and I think that will be very good. So I don't have, because honestly, for the past 2 weeks, I have thought about the podcast, like I'm going to do it here, I'm going to do it there, but I didn't do it because I was not inspired to do it. And then I know I've said this before, well, do it anyway. You don't have to be inspired. You have to keep going. Most important thing is consistency. I know I said that, but I don't see the purpose with it anymore. I see purpose and inspiration in other things, in my work. I really, really enjoy my work. I have been there for 7 months, almost. Wow. And I still enjoy it. And I want to keep growing and keep evolving in it. So I'm also like, well, I didn't think that I would find a job that I like this much. Because since in my studies, since the midst of my studies, I've been like, 9 to 5, 5 times a week. Doesn't sound like me. I wanted freedom, financial freedom to do what I wanted. But now it's kind of weird. What I want is that I want to work in my gym. So I'm like, well, why do I need freedom to do what I want? What I want is work. And that is also what Alex Hormozi says. What he wants is not freedom. What he wants is to work really, really hard, because that's what he enjoys the most, working. And I think that's the place that is really good to be, where the thing that you enjoy the most is your work, because that will inevitably lead you to success, because you use so much time on it. You want to become very good at it and do your very best. So you just put everything you have into it, and that will make you good at it. I mean, I've also looked on a lot of books, because I'm like, well, all the books that I want to read and listen to, I need to just always listening to books if I have to do it in my lifetime. And when I looked about all the books that I had wishlist in Audible, I saw So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport, and I've completely forgotten that book. And it's also, I haven't read it, I just think it's about that you should become so good in what you do that, yeah, you can't be ignored, that people will see you and yeah, good things will happen, I guess. um, so I feel like I've become so good in my work because I enjoy it so much that it's been able for me to become in a manager position without having no manager experience. That's why I'm trying to develop manager skills through learning, through reading. And then I would like to also to connect it to some experience, which is why I'm pursuing this right now. Where a spot was open, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a go. I got to the job interview and I felt it went great. So I have a good feeling about this. And that's another thing. I have started to listen a lot to my gut feeling, to like what feels right and what doesn't. And that also what he talks about in Start With Why, that his golden circle is pretty much aligned with, if you see a brain from on top, on how the brain is structured, that the outer of the brain is the neocortex, the intelligence, the thinking part of the brain, and the inside or the center of the brain is the limbic brain, which is where feelings are placed. And what he says is that feelings don't have a language. Language comes from the neocortex of the brain. So that is also why that feelings are sometimes very, very hard to describe. How do you feel? Well, I don't know, because feelings don't have a language, which is also why it is very hard to communicate your why. But the thing of the why is that it connects with feelings. And the feelings, as I've talked about before, is the decision-making part of the brain. I've come to realize that the feelings part of the brain is so strong in our daily lives, in our decision-making, and in everything that we do. So I've come to realize that everything is about feelings. Everything is about the limbic brain. How to talk to the limbic brain, how to communicate it to it, how to communicate from it. It's not about all these realistic things and features, which I've thought about for a long time that it was. And I think that many people still do. It's funny. When I have read this Start With Why, he talks about that you list all your what's great things of yourself and your company, so on. It's just about bragging. But if you start with why, it's a completely different thing, because it connects you more on an emotional pattern to people and to customers. So I have read this, and it was so clear how different it was when you just take the what's and put the why in front of the what's, the same thing. And there was so much difference. So one of my friends is building an online course where he just, in a post, he just stated his what's. And I just sat there and thought, you should just put your why instead. So I actually considered to write to him, hey, buddy, read this book, Start With Why, and see what happens. But I didn't, because I was like, well, what place am I in to tell him what to do when he's so much further than me, compared to what he wants to do and so on. Or not further than me, but he's on a different path than me. Similar, but not quite the same. So I didn't want to go in and just, hey, try with this, because I haven't tried it myself. I don't know if, well, actually, I did try it in my application for the job and the job interview. I started with why, and I applied for 2 positions. The the one got me a job interview, and in the other one, I was not what was searched for. Someone with experience was searched for. But both of them said that my application was good. So I think it works compared to what I know and what I have tested, which is pretty interesting. So I will try to do it more, communicate my why. Why do I do this? Why do I want this? What for? Why? Actually, I did record another. This is episode 26. I did record another episode 26, which I would call Why, where I did talk about some of the things that I've also talked about in this video about why do I do things, what do I want to do, and so on. And now I just decided to pause the podcast because I don't know what I want to do with it. And I want to prioritize on other things at the moment. Because I've also realized all the people that I follow and are inspired by have done things. They have achieved something before they try to help others. And I'm like, well, when it comes down to it, I haven't achieved anything, actually. What I have achieved is that I have achieved personal growth. I would say that's quite an achievement for myself. And what I also have achieved is struggling with long-time sickness in my longer-lasting concussion, which took 1.5 years to get over, and I did. And it was thanks to my work, I guess you can say. I did get a lot of help from many people, but when it comes down to it, it was I who did all the things that I was told to do, and tried a lot of things, what worked and what didn't work for me, at least. Yeah. So in that sense, I have achieved something, but it's not, or at least I am not good at communicating why it is a big thing that people can learn from. So I will try something different right now. I will focus on my work and myself, as I always do, and see if I will still think a lot about these things, what I want to do, because I think that I said that it's simple what I do, but simple is also what works when it comes down to it. Simple and focused. It doesn't have to be complex, or it shouldn't be complex, because when it is complex, you will not do it. When it's long and complex, you will not do it. When it's short, easy, simple, you will do it. So I will try to make something that is as simple as possible, because then it is achievable for a lot of people. So that is what I want to think about. Not to make it complex, but very, very simple. And with that, I will end this episode, and I will just upload it immediately. No show me, no nothing, just get it out there. So I'm done, so I can get moving forward. Okay, have a good, and I hope to see you again in the future with something new, perhaps. We'll see. Have a good until then.